I don't even know how farmers do it, to be honest with you. You have to be a millionaire to start a farm. Kind of.
Start one, yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah. I mean, until you start making money off it. But I'm just saying, like,
Even then,
it's probably
most of
tough.
I would say most farmers are surviving on
Their own
grant.
shit. Yeah.
No, grant money. They're surviving on
Oh.
grant money from the state or from the
Damn, I
federal
didn't think
government.
about that, but you're probably right.
That's why there's fucking hundreds of miles of corn being grown.
Right.
There's dude, a great example of this where you can see how chaotic it can get, even though it's England and not here,
Yeah.
is watching Clarkston's Farm. Have you ever watched Clarkston's Farm?
I don't even know what that is.
Jeremy Clarkston, who was the funny, the big goofy funny guy from Top Gear,
Yeah.
the British Top Gear, like the main guy, I guess you could say. He bought a farm like 15 years ago.
Yeah.
And kept the guy who was running the farm on as an employee, and that guy decided to retire. So the premise of the show is Jeremy Clarkson's done with Top Gear or whatever, or Grand Tour or whatever he was doing. He's like, okay, I want to learn how to run my own farm. So since this guy's retiring, I'm just going to jump in and I'm just going to do it.
Yeah.
And so it's him figuring out how to run a farm. And it's like it's hilarious because it's a guy who doesn't know what the fuck he's doing. So he's just messing shit up all over the place. I mean, there's a scene where it takes him like 6 hours to unload a semi truck of fertilizer and seed. Like it took him like 6 hours to do it, which like any farmhand, it might have took like an hour. Right?
Yeah.
And like, or anyone that drives the telehandler often.
Yeah.
Anyway, he runs into so much red tape that in the first year, after spending like $750,000 to like run the farm, he profited 150 pounds.
Holy
for
cow.
a year.
That's
of work.
insane.
Between, because he ended up bringing like an apprentice kid back who was working for the old guy.
Wow.
He brought this apprentice kid back and was like, "Hey, I need your help. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing, basically."
Right.
And now the kid had been farming his whole life, so it was like, "Hey, I need you to show me what to do." So he kind of runs the farm.
Yeah.
And then he tries to, they go through so many different ventures trying to find something that's profitable for their farm. And it's just like, he has like X amount of acres or hectacres that they call them. I don't know what that, I think that's bigger than an acre. I'd have to Google it. But anyway, they have a certain amount of land that the government pays him not to farm because it's natural flowers, natural grasslands.
Yeah.
So they pay him not to farm it so that bugs basically can thrive there.
Right.
And then, so they're planting rapeseed for oil, like rapeseed they crush for oil to make, cooking oil. And then
vegetable oil.
And then they plant some kind of wheat,
Yeah.
durum wheat. They plant durum wheat for pasta, and they're just making no money on this. And he tries to plant. He has a creek running through his property, so he tries to plant wasabi, and like wasabi actually makes him some money, but he can't sell it anywhere. Like he's going. He has the kid drive to London and that's the first time the kid's ever been outside of his hometown to sell it, and he just can't get anybody to buy it. Like he's going to these high-end restaurants that Jeremy has connections with, and like no one wants to buy it.
Weird.
And it's
Did
just
they not do sushi there or something?
I think it was about quality, or like maybe there was some kind of protocol that you're supposed to follow. I don't know. There was some kind of red tape.
Okay.
Or it was like a quality thing, like, well, this is supposed to look like this and it doesn't, so that's a lower spice or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
So Jeremy's he's an artist. He's a creative type. So he's just trying to think of all these different ways the farm could be profitable. He starts like a farm shop, but then Chipping Norton, I think is the name of the town.
Yeah.
They have these rules where all of the things sold in this town has to be produced within a 10-mile radius or something. So they had some like branded t-shirts that were probably printed in China, and they're like, shut your farm shop down. You got to get rid of these shirts. And it's like, motherfucker, like I can't even, and then like, oh, shut your farm down. You're trying to sell, and his wife's Irish. So she's real like disagreeable.
Yeah.
So she's like, fuck them, like whatever, forget their policies. I'm gonna sell this jelly or whatever random object product. And an inspector comes by and sees it and shuts him down again. It's like, like we can't do. And then he tries to open up a restaurant, and he's like, if I open up a restaurant on my property, then I could use products from like this cow farmer that's local, and I could use my Durham wheat for my pasta, and I could use the rapeseed, and we could use all these local products and have a restaurant based on all these local products. And they shut him down for that. They didn't want to allow him. They didn't want to allow him to make a parking lot on his own property. So people were parking for miles down the street, blocking traffic, and somebody like an ambulance couldn't get through because of the traffic of people trying to go to his store. And then so they put up construction cones for miles in both directions on both sides of the road that say no parking. The city does to stop him from having customers. It's insane. The amount of like, it's like you watch this show, you get infuriated. You're like, why are they like, it's like they're colluding against him. Like they don't want him to be successful. He builds this farm. He builds this farm shop, a nice farm shop. It costs him like $250,000 to build this farm shop.
Yeah. And
they put a nice metal roof on it. And they're like, that you're not allowed to have a metal roof. It has to be this type for beautification. For beautification, you have to keep this style roof. So he has to rip a brand new roof that's going to last forever off of his brand new building and then put in a less efficient, like stone slate fucking roof because there's regulations about what kind of roof you're allowed to have on your own property there. It's insane.
Yeah.
And now that much shit would not happen in the U.S., but I bet a lot of it would.
I'm sure there's a lot. Yeah, there's probably a lot of problems. Probably not as many.
But a lot of people, that's their story. Good times, noodle salad.